Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Harakakadash, the most the apostles and elders, great most honorable one, Shalom. To all the brothers doing the work of serving truth. Got this article on Zero Hedge, talking about this, this climate summit. And it's funny because I've seen this thing on the news, like when I'm at work, they've got a TV on, and it's like all day they're reporting on these things, getting news articles about, the COP's 26 summit, the all the different little bits that are coming out, and I'm just like, bro, why is this getting so much so much shine? What's the objective with this whole thing? Because they were still don't give a shit about the planet. Esau's um the actual reason why he needs to be put to an end, or the planet ain't gonna make it. And this is what, the trees are gonna be rejoicing when this man's gone. So as far as for us, as far as for me, I was looking at it like, okay, so what's this getting signal boosted for so hard? And surprise, surprise, they're trying to get more systems of control from it, more restrictions upon the people, and kind of a justification for pushing in certain things, which that's kind of what I was expecting, but I just didn't particularly know what this kind of covers it well, because it's okay. Let me read it first. So it says, watch Al Gore's latest solution to climate change is mass surveillance. It says what? Speaking from the private jet and super yacht owners gathering, otherwise known as the COP26 summit, Al Gore touted his latest solution to curb carbon emissions: mass surveillance via satellites, sensors, and artificial intelligence. It's funny, man, because okay, well, I'll read it because he says it about what Al Gore was saying. It says in the interview with MSNBC's Andrea Mitchell, Gore declared that technology created by the so-called Climate Trace Coalition will monitor greenhouse gas emissions and root out the culprits. So I said, what, we get data consistently from 300 existing satellites, more than 11,000 ground-based, air-based, sea-based sensors, multiple internet data streams, and using AI. Gore explained, adding, all the information is combined via light and infrared. All of the other information is brought in, and we can now accurately determine where the greenhouse gas emissions are coming from. So it's basically a system where they can bring in, surveillance, on a mass level, even from outside the atmosphere, from where they have all the satellites up there, basically shooting down, and keeping track of and tracing these things to then be like, okay, where's that coming from? What's the origin of it? What's the root of it? To then afterwards be able to put restrictions, put sanctions, put whatever on whomever they see at the other side. And it's a way of saying like, hey, keeping track of what people are doing, because that's the thing is, once it's satellites, given a green light just for satellites to be looking around, scanning, like, you're taking a fucking piss in the woods, then they're gonna be there just knowing like, okay, you can detect some heat. That, and these things are these kinds of systems, these are things that Esau's been pushing in under the guise of security, safety, meant to be securing yourself. But that's why you have movie like, what's it called, with Will Smith, man, iRobot, where they had all these different security systems linked in with like the main AI, and whilst the main AI was dealing with them, then it was splendid, it was spectacular. be able to have all kinds of footage, all kinds of security. It's like, okay, she's detecting things. But then afterwards, what you have when she took over, it flipped, and then those things were basically confirming your keeping you destroyed, man, in a broken down state. That's the thing is, Esau, the way Esau's looking to utilize these systems, it's for the sake of his plans, man, to bring about what he desires. It says Gorhu in 2008 said there will be no polar ice caps left within 5 years. Continued, yes. This guy's. That's the funny thing as well. It's like, I don't know how they got by it. Like, they let this guy get every free pass. I remember the guy saying, I remember going, in school being like, oh, by 2010. Remember telling me like by 2010 or 2020 or something, there will be like no I think they said like the ice would have been melted, like have melted to the point where the sea level would have gone up by blah 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 centimeters by like 2010, and then by 2030 it would just be like it would actually just be water world, man. Man would just be in water world, just living on boats. When the water's just gone up so high, and that's the thing as well. Is just saying that as a blasphemy against the scriptures, because you had what? You have the rainbow, which is the promise between the Most High and men, through Noah, who's the new Adam, basically saying like, yo, I ain't gonna flood the world no more, even though you guys are wicked as hell, and that's why the second death's gonna come by fire. But that's Esau is always talking about, oh yeah, everything's gonna flood, saying there's gonna be an ice age, you're gonna have all kinds of water. I'm like, bruh, you're just basically trying to be like, okay, yeah, trying to tell everyone don't deal with the scriptures, throw the scriptures in the bin, because whatever it's saying isn't valid. But then what you're saying is been proven to be nonsense multiple times. But what Esau just gets away with that shit, because everyone's invested, everyone's hanging on his every word anyway, no matter what. Falsehoods are coming out. They're they're praising everything that's been said. So it says the next year we'll have it down to the level of entry of every single power plant, refinery, large ship, plane, waste dump, and we'll have identities of the people who are responsible for each of those emission streams. The man said every bare but individual places, individual. That's the thing. Is legit just saying like, okay, we just have a mass surveillance apparatus. It says, and what, pray tell, will happen to these climate criminals, Al, if investors or governments or civil society activists want to hold them responsible, they will have the information upon which to base their action on holding them responsible. You're gonna watch. But yeah, basically saying like, just have a system to track people and be like, okay, look, it's like we're gonna shut your shit down and the government's gonna take it over or whatever, just based on whatever justification they desire. It's it's all about that control, and that's how more or less all of Esau's different manners and systems he brings in. It's all tied to what? Control. It says new. So what Gore and these 300 satellites will find is that it's a super rich luxury class who are the world's largest polluters. New research by the Institute for European Economic Policy and the Stockholm Environmental Institute found that by 2030, the carbon footprints of the wealthiest 1% of humanity on track to be 30 times larger than the size compatible with limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. The Paris Agreement's more ambitious temperature target And this, all of this is Esau's hubris, because this guy, bro, man said by the end of by 2100, end of the century. I'm like, bro, you ain't gonna have to worry about no 1.5, degrees. The 1.5 degrees of heat from them lashings in your back, man. That's what Esau needs to be worrying about. Says the report notes that should current trends continue, the richest 1% will account for 16% of global CO2 emissions in 2030. And that's the thing, those guys at the top, the elites, and the lesser luminaries as well, below them, these guys have a completely different rule set applied. The guys at the top, they do their own thing. They do what they desire. And those that are kind of given a portion of that shine underneath, they're also able to move differently as well. But they have compliance required from them, man. It says is what the paper notes that they increasingly drive the extent of global inequality and likely have a greater impact on the political and social acceptability of national emissions reduction of efforts. Adding, it's therefore notable that in all of the major emitting countries, the richest 10% and 1% nationally are set to have per capita consumption footprints substantially above the 1.5 degree global per capita level. Yeah, they're just doing whatever the fuck they want, man. Like you said, yeah, what Dabby added that a tiny elite appear to have a free pass to pollute. Their oversized emissions are fueling extreme weather around the world and jeopardizing the international goal of limiting global heating. So yeah, they're as far as when it comes to the elite, they have a whole different a whole different structure by which they run their shit, man, and they're able to deal. Everyone else is bro, you guys are the sheeple, man. You're the cattle out here to serve your purpose, man. Psalm 64:2, it says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. Yeah, Esau has secret counsels. These secret counsels are what? To construct, weapons, ways of which to come against who? Chiefly Jake, but then everyone else as well. And that's why you have these get-togethers. They're having talks in the dark. You have leaders for all these different meetings. You got the G8s, G20s, COP26s, Bilderbergers, all these different meetings where you have guys on the top level come together and discuss and decide on policy going forward. That's the thing, is you have it on the higher level of the elites, and then the ones you have broadcast on TV, the lower level ones, where the message is disseminated. This is what that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. And yeah, shoot in secret at the perfect. They shoot in secret at Jake. And that's their objective, man. That's their goal. They're looking to come against Israel, man. So-called Negro, so-called Hispanic, so-called Native American Indians. They're the ones that are where Esau's arrows are being aimed at. Because what They encourage themselves in evil matter. They commune of laying snares privately. They say, "Who shall see them?" That's really it. Yeah. Guys are in the dark, constructing plans. No, they're really thinking, who's even gonna know these things are going down? But hey, Spirit, Esau's tongue's full of himself, man. This guy's been exposed by by his own people. As such, what? It's bruv. It's peak. It's like Esau's shit's been put on blast, and it's through the Spirit as well. Because as far as for Esau now, state he's in, he's been exposed, man. The leg's been made bare. All the secrets that you go back 10, 15 years. Hella things weren't even being spoken about or thought about. Now all these things are being broadcast into the public, man. The term Illuminati has become commonplace, man. You can drop that on anyone, and they'll at least, know what's being referenced towards, man. All these different pedophile rings, all these satanic practices, even witchcrafts come to the forefront, man. These things have all now started to get traction, and that's why, because the wind's changed. The Spirit's been pushing it out there. It says what? They search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Yeah. So these guys, they do their research. They put the time in, and have done extensive looked extensively into into how to bring about their desires and their plans. And that's why you had when Esau's putting his shit out there, shit's effective, man. The people are eating it up because they've been going through that school system. They had their brain ground down to mush. So now they're ready to receive their weekly scheduled programming from the elites, man. The means by which they survive. But yeah, yeah. I'll leave it there. I'll say all praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Hashem HaKadosh. Shalom.